But I'll start with you, Steve. Like,
Sure.
how'd you get into this?
By mistake? No. So I'll give you the semi-short version. So I'm from Miami originally. My parents are Cuban, so I'm first generation. My dad's an engineer, my brother's an engineer, my uncle's an engineer, grandfather was an engineer. Everybody was an engineer, but I was like, oh, I like taking pictures. Pictures is fun. So in like high school, I picked up a camera, started shooting film, and loved still photos, and that was great. I graduated high school, didn't know what I wanted to do. I went to state school for engineering, and then because that's what everybody else did, so that's what I would do too. And I was pretty much just partying on South Beach every day at that time. But then I kind of like started taking pictures more and more, and I actually got a full-time job at a senior portrait yearbook studio, which was like the worst job I've ever had in my life. But so I just started doing that just because it was a job, and I was getting paid to take photos, which I thought was kind of cool. Like how bad is that? And then, I kind of went on, and eventually I was like, okay, this is something I think I really want to do. So I found out about RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology in upstate New York. And I applied to transfer in, and I transferred in and basically was there for 2 years. And I did like my third and fourth year of my 4-year degree because I transferred all my Florida credits in. And that's where I really fell in love with photography and like commercial photography specifically. Like I was like, I'm going to be a still life photographer. No, I'm going to be a fashion photographer. Like I just tried everything. I think that was the best part of it. It was just like, oh, you want to do food? There's this teacher teaches a food class. Oh, you want to do, documentary filmmaking? Like, oh, there's this guy, so it was just kind of a little bit of everything.
You knew you wanted to do film.
Image making of some sort. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I graduated, and I went to, and everyone was like, oh yeah, you moved to New York City, that's what you do, and you just photo assist. So I moved to New York City, I called a bunch of alumni from RIT, I'm like, hey, I'm fresh here, I want to work, whatever. And people started hiring me, which is cool, which is great. And, once you're on set, you really kind of get your eyes really open to like, oh, that's what this is about.
Just jump in, did you feel like you had to, I get the feeling just from knowing you, from time knowing you, like, there's a persistence I think that we all have. You guys chime in on any of this stuff. Like were you persistent with reaching out to the alumni, trying to get jobs? Like, so just a little side talk, but talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, I think it's an everyday persistence too. So it's like every day I'm going to wake up and I'm going to keep trying to do this. And I think that's what I still do today. It's like, I think that's the most important thing is just like it's not like a big effort for a week or two or a month. It's like you just got to keep going a little bit every single day.
Because you had nothing at that point.
No, nothing. I had enough money for like another month of rent in Brooklyn, and like that was it. Like I was like, I'm gonna make this happen. So can you please pay me the day of the shoot if you can? Thanks. So yeah, I just started photo assisting. This was all still film, like medium format and 4x5 camera stills stuff. And then pretty quickly, like the digital thing was starting to happen, and I had taken some classes at RIT about digital stuff. They were like cutting edge on that stuff. So I quickly became like one of the first digital techs in New York City. I hooked up with some people that had digital capture companies. I was like, okay, I would send the digital tech out with the stuff. I worked on like, Stephen Meisel shoots. I actually got to show Richard Avedon how digital worked, which was like the coolest thing ever. Like I just got like these really interesting experiences because there's so few people that knew how to do it. And if I do something, I like try to learn everything I can about it. I play with it until I figure it out. That's the kind of the engineer side in me a little bit. And it was great. And it was also, I could communicate in a creative way and a technical way. And that's what was a very unique thing is a lot of the digital techs of the day, like were either just really computer heads and they're like, well, I don't know what you're talking about the highlights are, not looking right or what, whatever.
Bridge that gap of those two worlds kind of like starting to collide.
Yeah, so then to fast forward a little bit, then I started shooting for magazines, like mostly, actually I wanted to be a travel photographer when I moved to New York City. I I get to go places and travel and shoot and take pictures until I started doing it. And I was like, oh wait, this is exhausting and like they pay you $500 a day or whatever it is. So so I kind of started building a portfolio around travel, but then somebody was like, hey, can you shoot just food for us? And I was like, okay, I could just shoot the food for you. It's like Savure magazine. I don't know if I think they're still around. And I just started shooting the food, and then they're like, oh, can you shoot the chef too? And then that kind of led me down this path of food as far as my concentration, because it was just natural to me. I was like, oh, if I do this and this and the light like that, oh, it looks beautiful. And people are like, wow, you're like, that's natural to you, I think there's definitely something about playing to your strengths.
So you just landed in it. It just
yeah. I was like, I knew I wanted to do something, but like food just kind of called me and kind of
Did you feel anything though when you started shooting it? Like, I mean, besides just coming natural to you, did you start to kind of see it in a different way?
Oh, for sure. And just like, oh, okay, I should be making decisions about everything in the frame. You know, like, oh, it's not just about the food, but the plate, the light, the arrangement. Oh, what if we try this? You know, and I think the challenge too when you're young is also to like fight for what you think is the best shot, because a lot of times you're dealing with these, creative directors or art directors or that are like, oh no, we do it like this, and it's just like, no, but did you try it like this? And I think that
it's so true. If you don't fight for those moments, I mean, obviously there's a give and take with that stuff. But like the amount of times you go, like, I'm sure you guys have this. You're just like, oh man, I should have said something.
Yeah,
I think that's an important lesson to learn early on, though, because I mean, like as an artist, like your choice is so important. Like you have to like make a choice.
Yes.
And even if everybody shoots it down, like you got to make that initial choice.
You got to fight the fight. Yeah.
It just doesn't happen, and then you're just laying in your bed, just sleeping, dreaming at night, going like, fuck, that would have been so amazing.
Charles Nordeen Podcast.
Let's just talk about it.
Heat it up, let's make it hot with my crew. That's all I got. People love us more than haters, tryna roll up on the lot. And when we fly through the air, I feel like I can't miss a shot. Pull up, got them cravings. Together we gon' make it. Looking for a side of flavor, riding through with all my skaters.